As I have shown, Brazil currently experiences new times. In the economy, we have had one of the best performance levels among emerging countries. My administration has recovered foreign credibility, and today Brazil is one of the best investment destinations in the world. And it is here, at this General Assembly, that we envision a world with more freedom, more democracy, more prosperity and peace. And may God bless us all.
This message is for all parents in the UK. Can you afford £14 a month to ensure your child is financially protected as they grow up? If yes, then you could qualify for new low-cost parent life cover plans. £250,000 or more in cover from only £14.
An address, His Excellency Hassan Rouhani, President of the Islamic Republic of Iran. I request protocol to his court, His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency the President of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Mr. Hassan Rouhani, and to invite him to address the Assembly.
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, praise be to God, the Lord of the universe, and peace and blessings be upon the messenger of God and his family and companions. Madam President, I take this opportunity to felicitate your election to the presidency of the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly. We have assembled here today as the world is suffering from recklessness and disregard of some states for international values and institutions. The message of our presence here is that the preservation of interest and security in the world in the least costly manner is solely possible through the cooperation of and coordination among countries. However, it is unfortunate that we are witnessing rulers in the world who think they can secure their interests better, or at least in the short term ride public sentiments and gain popular support through the fomenting of extremist nationalism and racism, and through xenophobic tendencies resembling a Nazi disposition, as well as through the trampling of global rules and undermining international institutions, even through preposterous and abnormal acts such as convening a high-level meeting of the Security Council. This illusion should be cast away once and for all, that one can aspire to securing more peace and security at the cost of denying others peace and security. We should not allow the breathing space for and growth of the line of thinking that holds others to ransom through the artificial creation of insecurity. Along this track, confronting multilateralism is not a sign of strength. Rather, it is a symptom of the weakness of intellect. It betrays an inability in understanding a complex and interconnected world. Under such circumstances, negligence or inefficacy of international institutions can endanger world peace. Those seeking dominance and hegemony are enemies of peace and the perpetrators of war. The government of the United States of America, at least the current administration, seems determined to render all international institutions ineffectual. This government, having withdrawn from a multilateral agreement adopted by the Security Council in contravention of the rules and norms of international law, invites the Islamic Republic of Iran to bilateral talks. An administration that is inviting Iran to engage in talks is not ready to consult its own experts, nor willing to recognize the requirements of a modern state, including the paramount principle of continuity of state responsibility, and hence openly violates state obligations undertaken by its predecessor. On what basis and criteria can we enter into an agreement with an administration misbehaving such as this? Any talks should be within the framework and in continuation of the JCPOA and Security Council Resolution 2231, and not in a framework of breaching them and reverting to the past. It is ironic that the US government does not even conceal its plan for overthrowing the same government it invites to talks. Distinguished colleagues, the approach of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the field of foreign policy has been based on multilateralism and compliance with the recognized principles of international law. Our respect for the Non-Proliferation Treaty and the long and difficult negotiations with the Group of 5+1, which led to the conclusion of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, illustrates a clear manifestation of this approach. We are pleased that the international community did not acquiesce to the US government's unilateral and illegal withdrawal from the JCPOA and adopted a categorical position vis-à-vis that decision. The JCPOA is the outcome of more than a decade of diplomatic efforts and a period of intensive negotiations to resolve an artificial crisis. This document was unanimously approved by the Security Council Resolution 2231 and codified into an international obligation. According to this resolution, all countries and international and regional organizations were called upon to support the implementation of the JCPOA and to refrain from any actions that undermine implementation of commitments under the JCPOA. Based on 12 consecutive reports of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, Iran has thus far complied with all of its commitments. However, the United States, from the very beginning, never remained faithful to its obligations. Later, the current administration, resorting to flimsy excuses and in open violation of its commitments, finally withdrew from the accord. The United Nations should not allow its decisions to fall victim to the domestic election and propaganda games of some of its members, and should not allow any member states to dodge the execution of its international commitments. Additionally, the United States also pressures other countries to violate the nuclear accord. And more dangerously, the United States is threatening all countries and international organizations with punishment if they comply with Security Council Resolution 2231. It is the first time in the history of the United Nations that such a general invitation to violation of law is coupled with threatening law-abiders with punishment. This is not just peculiar to the JCPOA, but a pattern that even applies to the U.S. approach to the International Criminal Court. We appreciate the efforts of the international community, the European Union, Russia, and China in supporting the implementation of the JCPOA and consider the full realization of the commitments stipulated in it a precondition for the survival of this significant